Nicola Bulley, The Grief Ghouls. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Many of you will be aware of the disappearance of Nicola Bulley. It's over 2 weeks since Miss Bulley vanished from St. Michael's-on-Wyre, and nobody appears to be any closer to discovering where she might be. A whole range of theories have been advanced, ranging from that she's fallen into the River Wyre and drowned, to the fact that she has been abducted, and many other scenarios beside. And one aspect that has sprung up in relation to this case is the number of individuals that are turning up at St. Michael's-on-Wyre. Of course, you will have probably seen across social media, in the below-the-line sections and newspapers, various people offering their views and theories as to what has happened to Miss Bulley, who they think the suspect or suspects might be, the so-called armchair detectives. But there's a group that have taken it to another level, which in effect could accurately be described as grief ghouls. I'm going to read to you, to provide some context, an article from the Times newspaper to give you an idea of the behaviours of these individuals. And then I'm going to address the question that has been posed to me by many people in relation to these individuals. Are they narcissists, HG? What are they? The article by Tom Ball explains vigilantes and hero wannabes are upsetting residents of St. Michael's-on-Wyre with their live-streamed investigations into the disappearance of the mother. A group of 3 men are traipsing through the night. Lighting their way with torches, they reach a copse, where suddenly a figure looms out of the dark. "Stay at a reasonable distance," says one of the men warily as the stranger approaches. By rights, though, it is not the stranger who should be keeping his distance. It is the garden of his home that they are standing in, and the 3 men are trespassers who have ignored private property signs and bypassed locked gates. The men, named Danny Duffy, Jack and Dan, are among a slew of vigilantes who have descended on the parish of St. Michael's-on-Wyre in the days following the disappearance of Nicola Bulley, who went missing 2 weeks ago, on her morning dog walk. For many, this is not the first police investigation they have inserted themselves into. One woman, Karen Booth, who had come from Sheffield, said that she had previously flown to Portugal to look for Madeleine McCann. Often preaching lurid theories as to what may have happened to Bulley, these would-be investigators have been getting into fights with residents and generally making the place unsafe, say locals. Claiming to be helping in the search for the mother of 2, the trio were live-streaming their nighttime exploits over TikTok. When the owner explained that the house and land had already been searched by police, the men agreed to leave, though later commented to their thousands of viewers that he was dodgy. It is for incidents such as this that Lancashire Police this week issued a 48-hour dispersal order in the village, which gives officers the power to eject anyone committing antisocial behaviour. The force said this followed reports of individuals from outside the area of St. Michael's streaming on social media close to properties, and added that a number of individuals had been given warnings. Police have said they believe Bulley, who went missing on January the 27th during her morning dog walk, fell into the River Wyre and have focused their search efforts there. Much of the vigilantes' focus, however, has been trained on supposedly abandoned houses along the river, some of which have turned out to be occupied, in the belief that Bulley may have been abducted. Duffy, who describes himself as a paranormal investigator, has been banned from TikTok since the trespassing incident on Wednesday, after he filmed himself that night confronting another man believed to be a local. The local had questioned him about his presence in the village, to which Duffy responded by calling him suspect and saying he would sweep him off his feet after claiming the man had touched him. Duffy's videos from St. Michael's had received more than 1 million views on the video-sharing platform. They included footage of him and another woman attempting to enter private property and using a radio to try and psychically communicate with Bulley. When approached by Times Radio earlier this week while filming a TikTok broadcast, Duffy said he wanted to be a real-life superhero. It'd be nice just to find her somewhere, if someone has got a captive or something like that, you know. Save her, he said, just like a hero. The other men who were with Duffy when they were confronted by the homeowner run a separate TikTok account with 20,000 followers. On Thursday night, they filmed themselves driving around the area and said that they would wait until the 48-hour dispersal order elapsed before going out on foot again. Sally Riley, a superintendent with Lancashire Police who is leading the investigation, said that a number of clairvoyants had also been phoning in, claiming to have psychic knowledge of Bulley's whereabouts. Another TikToker, who said he was working in coalition with Duffy, Jack and Dan, said he was using divination tools, such as a crystal ball, to locate her. His account has more than 600,000 followers. This activity has been disquieting for the people of St. Michael's and upsetting for the family and friends of Bulley. Heather Gibbons, one of Bulley's friends, said that it had reached a point where people coming to help were actually doing the complete opposite and making the village feel unsafe. "You're taking police time and resources away from the investigation," she said. "You're letting speculation take away from the actual facts. We are at the point where this type of help is making people who live in St. Michael's feel unsafe. Please don't let this continue to happen." For a village so small, roughly 450 residents, St. Michael's has had to endure an inordinate number of calamities. In 2015, it was submerged after the river overflowed during Storm Desmond, causing millions of pounds of flood damage to the local school, village hall and several homes. Prince Harry came twice to St. Michael's in the wake of the floods to speak with residents who had lost their homes and businesses. In 1984, 23 villagers were killed when a gas explosion destroyed a pumping station at Abbeystead. Residents of St. Michael's were being shown around at the time, following concerns about flooding in the village. Andrew Wilkinson, the vicar of the village church, said that these events had served to bind inhabitants closer together. Some residents feel, however, that this time misfortune is creating a sense of unease in the village. People have been much more cagey lately, said Nicola Smith, 32, a psychologist. They are upset by what has happened here, and the number of new people turning up hasn't helped. The other day, someone from the village shouted at me and called me a tourist, because they thought I was one of the people who'd come down to see what was going on. I mean, I've been staying in more and not leaving the house as much. Today, members of the local community are to line the street of St. Michael's with banners and placards featuring Bulley's photograph in a bid to bring Nicky home. Emma White, a friend of the missing woman, said the search had been like torture. Speaking to BBC Radio Force Today, White said it's just a roller coaster. It's almost like torture, the despair, the unimaginable frustration, and the sense that everyone has come together, working so hard, the police, the community, people on the ground. Asked about police being given the power to break up groups causing a nuisance in the Lancashire village, she urged visitors to stay away. People are offering to come and help, but that's not really helping the situation, she added. Ultimately, we all want to bring Nicky home, but we need to do it in a logical, systematic way, and we have to leave it to the police. So an article talking about the individuals that are turning up at St. Michael's under the umbrella of wanting to help, ranging from vigilante groups, hero wannabes, psychics, and so forth. But these individuals appear to be getting in the way, hampering the investigation, going where they're not wanted, trespassing on people's property, being aggressive towards residents that are coming to terms with the disappearance of this lady. So, what is it about these individuals in terms of them coming to this village and behaving in the way that they are? People have asked me in the comments section and by email, HG, what are these people? Are these all narcissists that are swooping on the village? Well, as you know, I classify individuals for the purposes of my work on this channel into narcissists, of which there are various sub-schools and cadres, narcissistic people who aren't narcissists, normal people, and empathic people. Empaths, normals, and narcissistic people, but who aren't narcissists, all have varying degrees of emotional empathy. And here, the individuals that are turning up could well belong to the classification of empath, normal, narcissistic, and, of course, narcissists. But why? I often explain to you that many people can indulge in the same behaviour, but the driver behind it is different. And here, it's the same instance. Although it's unlikely, some of the individuals turning up may well be empaths, driven by their strong traits of being truth seekers, with a sense of justice, moral compass, and compassion. They believe that it is right that they turn up to help. It may well be that their dedication to helping obscures them, so that their perspective has become obscured to the extent that their emotional empathy for the villagers is reduced, given their desire to want to help find Nicola Bulley. And therefore that diminution in their emotional empathy caused by the external stressor of wanting to help find her means that they engage in these rather unpleasant, irritating behaviours that have been described in the article. On balance, however, whilst it's possible that some of these people are empathic, it is unlikely. They are more likely to respect the fact that this is the property of other people. They are more likely to respect the fact that people don't want other people going. They'd recognise that such behaviour is ghoulish, that it would be seen as almost like grief tourists, and that they would have emotional empathy for the family of Nicola, for the residents in the place where she has gone missing, to think the last thing that they need is someone like me turning up, filming them, talking about them, and therefore they wouldn't engage in such behaviours. So whilst it is conceivable that an empathic individual with a diminution of their usual emotional empathy could engage in this behaviour, it's highly unlikely. What about normal people? They're most likely to be drawn from this group. Why? There's two factors. The first is normals are the largest group of people that exist. And therefore, it follows that since they're the largest group of people that exist, it's more likely that these people will be drawn from that demographic. Furthermore, those individuals as normals won't have emotional empathy for the residents or the family of Nicola Bulley because they don't actually know them. Whilst they will have emotional empathy, it is for these individuals that would be deemed to be outside of their circle. And instead, their own interest in advancing their own channel outweighs their consideration of other people. And therefore, with the pursuit of live streaming, etc., they go to places where they shouldn't go, that they trespass. They also, because they don't know the residents, may well talk about them being suspect and dodgy. So there will inevitably be many of the individuals turning up who are drawn from the group of normals. What about narcissistic individuals? Undoubtedly, they will be drawn from this group also. These individuals won't have any emotional empathy for the residents, and even when they're interacting with them, whereas a normal may increase their emotional empathy when interacting with someone in person, narcissistic people are less likely to do so, and therefore, purely driven by their own selfish needs of creating content for their channel and having no due regard for these individuals, they are then more likely to be drawn from that group. What about the narcissists? Undoubtedly, there will be some of these people attending who are narcissists. Why? Well, they're acting with a sense of entitlement. They believe that they should be involved in the investigation. They may well believe that they know better than the police. They believe that they are the ones that are going to crack the back of the case. They believe that they can turn up and go where they want, trespassing, entering people's gardens, searching people's properties. They act with a lack of accountability. Nobody holds me back. They're not concerned about the fact that they're tramping through somebody's garden. It doesn't even occur to them that what they're doing might be viewed as wrong. And if it's pointed out to them, of course, that's a threat to control, and they will nullify that threat to control by responding, "I'm only trying to help, get out of my way." They'll exhibit grandiosity. They believe that they're the one that can come and solve this case, that somehow they have some kind of magic powers, whether it's divination or some form of psychic powers that causes them to believe that they know where Nicola Bulley is. Delusion and magical thinking wrapped up in that grandiosity of believing that they, above the resources of specialists who deal with this type of thing repeatedly, are able to solve the case. It shows a clear absence of boundary recognition, of course. The fact that they trample through people's gardens, go into properties which are nothing to do with them, turn up at a village which has nothing to do with them, coming from other parts of the world. All is demonstrative of that lack of boundary recognition, the way that they talk to the residents, the way that they may even point the finger of suspicion at them also. Doing this, of course, enables them to assert control. It allows them to assert control over their audiences by saying, I've created this footage of me being a good person, helping out, solving the crime. They receive fuel, of course, although they most likely won't recognise it as such, from the reactions that are prompted to the creation of the material. They also have the residual benefit, of course. Kudos that comes with the possibility of being involved. Facade management. See, I am a good person. I've helped out with the effort to find Nicola Bulley. I went there and did some sleuthing rather than just sitting there as an armchair detective. And of course, there'll be those that monetize the footage that they've created through the relevant channels. Accordingly, those that are these TikTok sleuths, etc., the vigilantes and hero wannabes, could be drawn from all groups of categorization that I utilize, but most likely you will find that some are indeed narcissists for the reasons that I've set out, and they'll also be drawn from narcissistic individuals and normals. It's common for this to happen because those people have no actual connection with the place, and therefore there's no buffer stopping them, where they're a normal individual, from upsetting the residents. Whereas with the narcissists, they simply don't care and are driven by their own belief that what they're doing is right and proper, and their belief in their superiority of their method of investigation trumping everything of anybody else. Of course, it's not just in St. Michael's that we see such behaviours. These grief ghouls that turn up can be found in many places where tragedy is struck, from murder scenes to the scenes of crashes and so forth. And accordingly, you are going to find narcissists there, but also there'll be members from other demographic groups who make up the individuals attending for the reasons that I've explained. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.